Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're continuing our ACC football predictions today, and our next team just went 7-6 last year thanks to injuries, but they bring in a new head coach to right the ship. They are the Florida State Seminoles. Forget what happened to the Seminoles last year. They started the season off at number 3 and had that big showdown against number 1 Alabama in Atlanta, but lost their starting quarterback Deondre Francois for the entire year, and after that, it just never felt like their mind was in the right place for the rest of the season, and of course they had a number of other injuries to account to that as well. They still went 7-6 though, made their 36th straight bowl game, and finished of course with a winning record, but now Jimbo Fisher has left to take the job at Texas A&M, and they bring in Willie Taggart, who was only at Oregon for just one season. I think he was definitely waiting for this job to open up after coaching at South Florida for so many years. He was waiting for this Florida State job to open up, and finally did, and that's why he bolted from the Ducks to take this job. And we know that he's an offensive-minded coach, and he inherits more starters on the offensive side of the ball than he does on the defensive side of the ball. 8 starters on offense compared to just 4 on defense. Francois is back and should be healthy, and if he isn't, or if he decides to go another route, they will start James Blackman, who was his replacement last season. I thought played at least fairly well considering the circumstances. They also bring in Cam Akers, the running back there, who rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. And this year they returned 4 of their 5 offensive linemen. So he's going to have a solid line to run behind. And they should be fairly solid at both the quarterback and running back positions. And, of course, on the offensive line with 4 starters returning there. On defense, just 4 starters returning on that side of the ball. Of course, we know Florida State always has a high recruiting class and should have plenty of talent that didn't necessarily start last year. They bring in Brian Burns and DeMarcus Christmas on that side of the ball along the defensive line. That will probably be their strength, that defensive line for the Seminoles this year. And against some of the weaker opponents in the ACC, some of these weaker offensive lines in the ACC, that will definitely benefit them. And they are still a contender in the ACC, and obviously Clemson being the heavy favorite, but still a contender despite bringing in a new head coach and losing so many people. So, the kickoff of the season against Virginia Tech on Monday, Labor Day Monday. And this is going to be a really exciting game. You got Justin Fuente and Josh Jackson facing off against Taggart's high-flying offense, and then Deondre Francois. So I'm excited to see Francois and Jackson go at it. This is a game at home for the Seminoles that I think is going to be really big and telling for how the season's going to go, because Virginia Tech is not an easy opponent. But with it being at home and against a Virginia Tech team that isn't going to be as solid as we've seen in years past, I think Florida State gets a big-time win in Taggart's first game. Like I said, will be telling for how the season's going to go. And I expect this game to be fairly close for the majority of it, and will be a thrilling end to that first weekend of college football. Remain at home to defeat Samford, no worries there. And then at Syracuse, a team that did beat Clemson last season at home. They returned 8 of those starters on offense from the team that did that, and 6 on defense from the team that defeated Clemson. Of course, Kelly Bryant did go down with an injury in that game. That's what everybody will say is the excuse. But Syracuse was playing well before his injury. And I like Eric Dungy at quarterback for the Orange. I think he could be really special for them this year, and I could see Syracuse getting back to a bowl game after missing out last year. What was a disappointing year. But I just think Florida State's going to have too much talent, too much speed to lose this game at Syracuse. I'm going to give them the win on the road here. And then Northern Illinois, I think they're going to get another win there at home. So there's 4-0 in Taggart's first year, obviously looking good. If they're not ranked, they will be ranked now. And if they start off the season ranked, they will probably be in the top 15 at this point. That Virginia Tech win, obviously carrying a lot of weight there. And this is when the schedule starts to get tough. They come on the road to Louisville. Now, if Lamar Jackson was still there, Louisville will still be extremely dangerous in the ACC and could probably upset a couple of people. But this time, they don't have Lamar Jackson. They bring in Juwan Pass, who I still think is a capable quarterback and actually has better wide receivers this year than Lamar Jackson did during his time at Louisville, of course led by Jalen Smith, the senior. So that's going to be a big-time get for Louisville. And this Bobby Petrino offense, who usually has very high-flying offense, very high-scoring, fast-paced. This game being on the road, really Florida State's first true test on the road under Taggart. This is a game where the defense really concerns me with only 4 starters back. And I have a lot of faith in Juwan Pass, who after this point would have already faced Alabama in the season opener, which is really a great way to see how you're doing and a great way to make adjustments and fix things that need to be done. I think Florida State goes on the road and loses this game to the Cardinals, mostly due to this Cardinals offense. I really like their offense this year. I like Bobby Petrino as a coach. And I think they're going to be able to get the win over the Seminoles much like they did 2 years ago. Not in that fashion, not in that blowout fashion, but still getting a win. Then they go on the road to Miami, so not an easy 2-game stretch there before their bye week. Miami, obviously the big-time favorite in their division this year, and rightfully so. Malik Rozier comes back at quarterback. Mark Richt at head coach. 7 starters on offense, 7 starters on defense. The secondary still going to be one of their strong points. The turnover chain, of course, still going to be a big thing this year for the whole college football season. But it's on the road, and last year was a thrilling game. Despite all the circumstances, Florida State was a thrilling game in Tallahassee, but it's on the road this year. They'll have a good crowd there. I just really like this Miami team again this year. I don't think they're going to lose this game to Florida State. It'll be close, as always, but I don't think Florida State gets the win on the road at Miami. So 2 losses there, 4-2 going into the bye week, and they're going to need it after back-to-back losses to be able to fix some things, hopefully turn things around going after the bye week. They get Wake Forest at home, and that's a big-time game there. Florida State lost a couple games they probably shouldn't have at home last year, and like I said, that was just due to their mindset and the injuries, and obviously some of these teams being fairly solid. Wake Forest was a solid team last year with John Walford, but now he is gone, so I don't really have a lot of faith in their new quarterback. I mean, Kendall Hinton's going to be solid, but he's no John Walford. Hopefully he can do good things for them. But I just don't see them losing this game at home. I do not think Florida State's going to be able to lose to Wake Forest at home. I think they're coming off a bye. They're rested. Wake Forest team that should get back to a bowl game, but it's not going to be nothing like they were last year. I'm going to give Florida State a win here. And then, obviously, the big-time showdown, the one that holds a lot of weight in this division race right here against Clemson, and it is at Florida State. So that is huge. It is at Florida State. They have home field advantage. Any problems that they've had up to this point will have been should have been fixed. They're coming off just 1 game after a bye week, so they should still be fairly rested. But this is a Clemson team that I've said I think is the best defense in the nation, certainly the best defensive line in the nation. And they still have a solid offense as well, solid running back, solid wide receivers, and then a quarterback battle who, if it goes either way, whichever way it goes, it's still going to be solid. Kelly Bryant or Trevor Lawrence. Either way, Clemson's going to be solid at quarterback. So, this game being in Tallahassee, I could see game day coming to this game. It's going to be huge. It's going to be a moment that Willie Taggart, if he gets this win, that's going to be a signature win for the season and show that Florida State is back. Maybe they never left. They had a bad down year last year, so what? But this is a big-time win to really play spoiler for the Tigers. I just cannot give them the win here. I really thought about it. I was back and forth. Am I going to give them the win at home over Clemson? I just think Clemson's going to be too much for really any team this year. People are going to have to score points against this Clemson defense, and it's not going to be an easy task despite it being at home. Florida State certainly has the offense for it, but I think that Clemson swallows up Cam Akers. It really doesn't let him get anywhere, so that's going to rely on Deondre Francois to throw, maybe run a little bit of dual threat, but it's going to have to rely on that passing game, and I just don't think they're going to be able to win the game by doing that, and I'm going to give Florida State a loss here to Clemson. But it might be a close game. It should be a close game. It's definitely going to be an exciting game and hold a lot of weight in the standings and in the national race as well. At North Carolina State, a team that Florida State lost to last year at home, led by Ryan Finley, one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC, and maybe one of the better quarterbacks in the nation, definitely in terms of accuracy. This year it's on the road. Finley's still there, and I think the offense is going to do fine. It's just going to be their defense, who lost tons of starters on that side of the ball. 3 starters only return on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, including Bradley Chubb. That was the big name. I think he's getting drafted in the top 10 of the NFL draft last year. So despite it being on the road, I'm going to give Florida State the win there. They're coming off a tough loss to Clemson. Hopefully they can get their mind back into the right mindset. I'm going to give them the win here over the Wolfpack, mostly thanks to their offense. And then Notre Dame on the road. This is going to be an exciting game. This is the first time these two teams have met since 2014 when Florida State was number 2. Notre Dame was number 5. Big-time college football playoff scenarios there. And Florida State ended up winning that game 31-27. It came down to the wire. So a thrilling matchup there. This year they go to Notre Dame, a team that I think could be a college football playoff contender, a team that could surprise some people. I like Brandon Wimbush. I know he didn't complete even 50% of his passes last year, but I still like him. I still think he can have a solid year. And their offense, led by him, is going to be backed up by a really good defense with 9 returning starters. So that was part of the issue for Notre Dame last year. They had some defensive struggles in some of their games, but that should be much improved this year. And it's on the road. Late in the season, Notre Dame could be fighting for that college football playoff spot. They don't have a conference championship game to help them out, so they're going to have to do everything they can by themselves and then hope that other people lose in front of them. I like Notre Dame in this game to get the win over the Seminoles at home. It's a tough place to play, and I just don't think the Seminoles are going to be able to go in there and get a win on the road. And also that Notre Dame defense, I think, is going to be able to shut down Francois and Akers and the likes. And then back-to-back games at home to close out the season, Boston College and Florida. Boston College, a team that I actually like this year, one that I think could surprise some people and compete against Florida State for number 2 spot in the division. If this game was at Boston College, I would be picking the Eagles in this one, but it's back at home. They're coming off a tough loss, much like they did against Clemson, but this time to Notre Dame. I like Florida State to have enough offense generated to go up against this very solid Boston College defense, and at this point, I think Florida State's defense is going to be more prepared, more experienced to kind of bottle up A.J. Dillon and those kind of guys there. Obviously, the strong point of that Boston College offense. So I think they're going to have enough there. Home crowds on their side. They get a win over the Eagles. And then Florida, big rivalry game, close out the season. Florida State's really out of the ACC title race at this point. Of course, this Florida game wouldn't help with that. They're playing for pride and obviously for a better bowl game. And I think they get the win over Florida. I know Florida brings in Dan Mullen. I know they bring in 10 returning stars on offense, 9 on defense. And they're going to be very solid. I like them a lot this season. But it's at home. And Florida has really struggled against Florida State in years past. And I just don't see anything changing for that this year. Maybe later on down the road. But Willie Taggart gets a big-time win over a big-time rival at home there. And that's going to give Florida State an 8-4 record on the year. So yes, that's not, national championship contending record or even an ACC title contending record, but it is a solid record for a first-year head coach that doesn't bring in his own recruiting class, doesn't bring in his own players, bring in a new scheme. I like this offense a lot because I know Willie Taggart is going to get his offense to that solid point. He's an offensive-minded coach. It's what he does. If the defense can step up and make some big plays or make some big strides, maybe they beat Louisville, maybe they beat Clemson at home, maybe they can still win at Notre Dame. This is this Florida State team that I think could get possibly to 10 wins and could compete against Clemson in the division. That game on October 27th is going to be huge. But right now, I'm going to keep them at 8-4, a very solid year in Taggart's first year, and obviously they're just going to keep improving from there. And Florida State's going to be back up to the top like we saw them under Jimbo Fisher. So a very solid year for Florida State going into 2018. As always, please go check us out on Twitter at Gridiron Expert and also on Instagram at The Gridiron Expert, and always here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.